Welcome to The Secret Witch Show, the podcast providing a safe and alchemical altar space of conversations which help powerful women escape a half-hearted, spiritless society and rediscover the freedom of living a wildly magical life. Every other week, we explore how to cast aside the wounds of shame, guilt, and fear connected with fully being yourself, so you can grant yourself permission to stop hiding, ground soulfully back into your body, illuminate your whole soul desires, tend your soul, rediscover and reclaim your powerful gifts, express your magic, and manifest your wildest alchemy. There's no better place to become who your heart longs to be. This is where we will guide you into liberation. I'm your host, Nicole Barton, and I'm so excited to dive in. Welcome to the show, Secret Witches. I am delighted to share this episode with you today with an amazing magical guest who is the absolute embodiment of archetypal clear quartz as a remedy. But before we do, I just want to remind you that we've been journeying with clear quartz to heal and reclaim the inner oracle witch, the brilliant, spiritual, magical part of you that gets hidden and wants to fully express her witchy gifts inside the apothecary. One thing you may not know is that you can join at any point of the journey, because all of the remedies of this path that help you heal yourself, discover your gifts and express your healer witch are inside the library in the membership. So there's no need to feel that you've missed the live journeys. You can join and begin journeying at your own pace now if you feel called. Visit nicolebarton.co.uk/membership. For now though, let's dive in. On The Secret Wish Show today, our guest is Molly Ann Chinner. Born from the fairytale landscapes of southwest England, Molly is a British sound healer, vocalist, multidimensional musician and founder of the Tone Temple, a growing sanctuary for crystalline sound, practitioner training and ethically sourced alchemy instruments. Molly's work bridges crystalline sound, devotional voice work, earth magic and esoteric teachings, guiding students into deeper currents of sonic alchemy, crystalline resonance, sacred geometry, light body activation, and the art of holding transformational healing spaces with integrity, skill, and soul. Molly's creations all carry the same devotion: to awaken remembrance, to restore coherence, and to reweave our connection to both the earth beneath our feet and our ancestry in the stars. In this episode, we explore clear quartz as both an archetypal remedy and a healing frequency, diving into the deeper currents of sonic alchemy through Molly's eyes. From crystalline resonance and sympathetic vibration to the way sound interacts within our bones, cells, and the crystalline matrix within us. Molly shares how clear quartz reflects the whole cosmic pattern of the universe, how our bodies recognise crystal sound as like meets like, and why intention is the true foundation of frequency healing. Exploring the work of Dr. Emoto and Veda Austin, who was on the show, revealing how sound and intention create crystalline coherence in both water and the body, we speak about the unstruck sound within the heart, the soul song each of us carries, the star wisdom encoded in our bodies, and the invitation to return to rest and stillness so that we can hear the music beneath the noise. This conversation is a remembrance of coherence, belonging, and the truth that we are not separate from the great symphony of the cosmos. Let's dive in. Welcome, Molly. I am so excited to have you here today. We first met at our local yoga studio because I've been coming to your classes, which I love. And so when we got chatting about clear quartz there the other week, actually, and sound, it was just as I was about to serve clear quartz in the apothecary. So I realised our worldviews, like, it's so deeply resonant, and I knew that this was just going to be the most perfectly aligned and beautiful topic for the show. So thank you for being here and a huge warm welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really honoured to be able to be in this conversation with you.
Yeah, I can't wait. So, as I was just explaining before we press record, the premise of my kind of healing modality and this podcast is that women's stories are so healing for other women. We kind of, the way I see it is that we're all kind of archetypal remedies for each other. So my first invitation for every guest is always, like, if you would like to share a little bit about your own journey with harnessing the power of clear quartz for frequency healing. Like, how has clear quartz and sound been like a teacher or an ally or a remedy in your own life?
Yeah, thank you so much for that invitation. The journey has been very much a weaving river. So I'm gonna take us back to my childhood, um, when I was a child with a very, very, let's say, very broad attention span, um, ADHD brain, very kind of dynamic and energetic, and just in complete awe of the world, magic
Mm.
everywhere. I was really blessed to grow up in the countryside in Gloucestershire, so a part of the country that is still really alive with the old magic. And my family line are from Cornwall, and so again, a place that's really alive with the old magic. And so I grew up in a very beautiful, natural place with trees and forests, and going to forest school and going to, engaging with the natural world in that way. And the kind of entry place for me into what I now offer to the world, which is sound healing in various ways, was music. So music was always my safe haven from as far back as I can remember. Music was the place that I felt completely safe and completely able to sink into, to focus and to sink into being present. It was kind of my first experience of meditation. That wasn't the language that I would have used or known back in the day, but it was absolutely that. And so music was my first love. So I grew up playing music, writing music. By the time I was 11, I was performing, writing, singing my own music on stage. And it kind of evolved from that place. I'm a guitarist and a singer, first and foremost. And I played a lot of folk music in various genres, but traditional folk music as well as more contemporary genres as well. And so as my life moved forwards and I moved into my late teens, early 20s, I was seeing these same patterns that I experienced a little bit of in my early life, just becoming like almost cycles of burnout and then not really knowing how to cope with it. A lot of emotional burnout, a lot of self-critical belief and narratives, and these kind of same cycles going on within me. I was really unable to know and understand how to rest. It was not something that I knew inherently. I was not as the sort of child or young person that was able to just know when to slow down. Very ambitious and really creative, and so enchanted by the world and by the magic that is everywhere that I was like, this is terrible, but my kind of slogan, I guess, was I'll rest when I'm dead. Like I'll sleep when I'm dead. Which is awful now reflecting on that, and how, as a young woman just coming into my understanding of my own cycles and my own rhythm, that I really did not have that understanding. And so, of course, was just going through these cycles of burnout, deeper and deeper into like anxiety, self-criticism, etc. And as a performing musician, those cycles and that way of being is really kind of like a standard way of being across the industry because of the way that it's set up. And I was finding it really, really difficult. Couldn't catch a break, was working all the time and then playing music all through the night and, barely having any time to rest or sleep. So, of course, my body was really kicking up a bit of a fuss about that. And it was around my early 20s that I moved into, I discovered yoga, which was just it really felt like coming home to me. It was the first place that I'd ever really truly understood how to slow down and what that could really mean for my health and well-being. And so, I continued down that path. I eventually trained as a yoga teacher, and then before long, I was working in my classic way, threw everything into teaching yoga, teaching loads of classes every week, like bam, 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 of course, back into the same cycle. but with this sort of sprinkling now of a holistic awareness that is beginning to come in. So not long after that point, a couple of years later, after teaching lots and lots of yoga, then I started to discover the world of sound healing. And it really felt like a destined kind of moment. The universe was speaking to me. I'd finally kind of begun to understand some of the more holistic and spiritual languages that were always there for me, but I just didn't necessarily know how to speak that language. And so it was really interesting. Basically, I had a little mini yoga studio of my own, and people just started showing up with singing bowls, gongs, a didgeridoo at one point, and giving them to me and saying, this is now your instrument. Like, some of these instruments were really expensive, and they were just giving them to me. I'd been to 1 or 2 sound baths and really, really felt resonant with this beautiful way of expressing sound. And of course, with a musical background, I'd kind of got to the point in my life where I was teaching yoga full time and had released music and left it and said, that's the end. No more. That's not for me. And then sound healing came in, and it felt like this invitation from the universe to build a relationship again with sound and with my own musicality, which is the language that I speak first and foremost. But with this holistic awareness, with this sense of self-love, and with this idea that music and sound can actually be healing. And it's a really beautiful interlocking, because a lot of the music that I was writing, maybe 2, 3, 4 years before this point, was very much alive with wanting to communicate that. It was almost like had healing threads woven through it, but I really didn't kind of understand or know at that point what I was trying to say. And then sound healing came to me, and it was like a moment of revelation. Oh, this is what I felt for all of these years. Sound is healing, and it can be so healing. And sound for me has been the key to unlocking my own sense of self-care, which of course is a practice that is ongoing. And I'm a person with ADHD, and so that is kind of like a constant upkeep of reminding myself not to just go into that cycle of burnout and burn the candle at both ends. But sound is for me such an invitation back into the embodied state. I'd experienced all through my life body dysmorphia, various eating disordered patterns, various self-critical behaviors, anxiety, all of that kind of stuff. And there was a moment when I first kind of started to experience sound healing with a beautiful teacher that I went on to train with, a woman called Anne Malone, who is amazing. If you ever have an opportunity to, or if anyone listening, you can look her up. She operates in London, really cool lady. And she was the first person that I had experienced a sound bath with, where she brought her guitar and she sang old Irish folk songs, but she's an Irish practitioner. And it was like, oh, wow, these two worlds coming together, this part of me that is the musician, and this part of me that was very deep in sound healing, but sound healing through the lineage of Nada yoga, which is quite traditional and quite formal, and very much about meditation, stillness, and silence. And it was the interlocking of those two worlds, the lyricism and the musicality that is in my heart, along with this like beautiful tradition and lineage, many thousands of years of understanding sound as a creative force, and just came together. And from that point on, then I went, as I do, deep dive into sound healing. I read every book that I could possibly find, every podcast, this is just, how I am. And just uncovered every corner that I could find, really dived really deep into the practice of sound healing, the science of sound healing, the mysticism, every bit. I was fascinated, and still, obviously, there's so much more to feel into, to know, and to embody and integrate. And that brings me to today, but to kind of bring us back to where I first discovered quartz itself, because sound healing is vast. There are many facets, many different instruments that you can specialize in or use, and many practitioners choose to use lots of different instruments. And that was where I started. But for me, there was always something incredibly powerful, beyond powerful, about the crystal singing bowls. And I started my practice with a set of 7 of these like big, clunky, frosted crystal singing bowls that really sort of taught me how to listen and taught me to bring my awareness into a more refined place, not through forcing. And that was so important for me because of the kind of expansive nature of my focus and my mind. But this relationship with the crystal instruments, because they have a musical nature, whereas instruments such as gongs or Tibetan singing bowls, for example, instruments made of metal, are more indefinite. So they don't have usually a very specific pitch. They might have a sort of a general tuning, and then they have thousands of undertones and overtones. Whereas crystal singing bowls, especially the bowls that I work with now, which are very refined quartz bowls, they have a single tuning. They're very, very finely tuned. And then they have one overtone and one undertone. So they're quite specific, and they also require not just an understanding of musicality and that relationship with music, but they require really deep listening in order to build that relationship with them. And so that brings me to where I am now, which is deeply in love with crystal singing bowls. They take up my whole life. And yeah, I have a studio filled to the brim with crystal singing bowls nearby that I love to spend my days in.
Thank you so much for that. That is just, I feel it quite emotional actually, because I know we spoke briefly about, maybe clear quartz is your medicine. Like we spoke about that I think when we were first chatting about the episode. And I don't think I've ever heard someone share their story in such a clear way where they are just literally expressing clear quartz the whole way through. And what I mean by that, because that might not make a lot of sense, is there's all the patterns that have kind of you've shared around your life. So even, the ADHD, there's a lot of neurodivergence in clear quartz as a homeopathic remedy, which is silica. I know we spoke about that as well. The eating disorders, the brilliant pattern spotting, the coming back to the body, the resonance, the even the clarity over like the refinement of the quartz, and just all of it is just so magical, because the whole way through I was like, oh, silica, clear quartz. So, that's the whole way through. You can just see it woven right through your entire journey. So I just wanted to share that because I don't know what that brings up for you.
It's beautiful. Thank you for reflecting that. It's really interesting, and to kind of see that through your eyes, and with your medicine as well, is that's so beautiful and so powerful. I'm so grateful for that reflection.
You're so welcome. And I think it's going to be really interesting for the people who've been journeying with clear quartz to listen to this, because they're going to be like, oh my goodness, like this it's like the perfect case study of like clear quartz and
a resonance
medicine being lived. Yeah, exactly. No, and that's exactly what I mean by people being medicine. Like as those people listen to that story and relate, like that will bring something alive for them. So I'm really grateful to you for sharing that in such an eloquent and slow and beautiful way. And the biggest theme as well was the rest piece, because that, interestingly, has been what's coming up so much for women who are journeying with the clear quartz at the moment, is that call to rest. Like it's calling us into this deep rest and into the body. So now I'm just wondering where to start, because there was just so much in that. Let me just feel into where I want to go. I guess what could be helpful is, let me just feel into it. You talk about frequency healing. Maybe let's start here. And I would love to explore a little bit more about what that looks like and what that means to you.
Yeah, thank you for that invitation. It's the more I uncover about the nature of quartz and the nature of crystal, the more that I can see these incredible overlaps and patterns. And it's like an invitation to experience the universe at its fundamental layer and its fundamental nature. So Quartz is a really, really fascinating material, and it sounds like you know a good bit about quartz anyway. But quartz, a crystal, so silica, as you were saying, silica, it contains within it this kind of crystalline, almost like a matrix that is reflective of all of the symphony that creates the whole universe. So if we zoomed right in to subatomic levels of silica, of quartz, it would be a fractal of like the greater quartz crystal, and then that quartz crystal is essentially reflecting as a fractal the entire cosmic pattern of the universe. And this principle in itself has been mirrored through other scientific studies. So the nature of crystal is often referred to as like cymatics, which is the study of frequency within water. But because water has a crystalline nature, a lot like silica, then we can kind of use the overlap of understanding to get a feel for what the true nature of crystal is. And of course, our bodies contain silica. So we have silica in our cells, but most importantly, we have silica in our skeletons. Our bones are really heavily kind of crystalline in their nature. So we have a real sympathetic resonance. Sympathetic resonance is a phenomenon that we see in the natural world. It's something that we often use in sound healing and in frequency healing to create healing states of being. It's quite incredible, actually. It's quite miraculous. But if I had a tuning fork in one hand and this tuning fork was in a frequency, let's say 528 hertz, that's 528 cycles per second of the sound. So that's what creates a hertz frequency, 528 in one hand, and I struck that tuning fork. If I had another tuning fork somewhere back there, that tuning fork would then start to resonate itself without being struck. So there's a communication of language that goes on between elements in the universe. This is called sympathetic resonance. This happens in every facet of the universe, so from the micro to the macro. And this is part of the reason why sound healing is so powerful, is because as a being, you contain a multitude of frequencies, lots and lots of different frequencies. For example, the liver has its own frequency, the kidneys, right down to the energetic misalignments in the body, or if there's any disease in the body or mind or energetic field, then these areas will have their own frequency. Some of these are measurable by science already. Some of them are too subtle to be measured by science currently, although I think processes are happening to make that. Eventually, that would be really exciting, you know, if we could pick up on density within our energetic field and we could pinpoint exactly what that frequency was, then we would understand how to speak the same sonic language as that energetic density and essentially remove and release it from the field. And so crystal contains this like capacity, sympathetic resonance. It's resonating with the whole of the universal song, as well as it having its own specific frequency. So it's almost like meets like or light meets light. Your body recognizes crystal when you receive a crystal singing bowl, sound bath, or you're working with crystal sound, frequency healing. Your body understands, recognizes, and can embody that sound with much more ease and grace than I've discovered than other instruments, for example. It's just a process of understanding and feeling that resonance. And so if we zoom into what's going on in the fractals of the crystal during kind of sound healing or frequency healing, for example, it's the same quality as understanding and the research that goes on into cymatics. A really amazing, incredible, like the forefather of cymatics was an incredible doctor called Masaru Emoto in the 1980s, Japanese doctor, who conducted a research study on water, polluted water in Japan from different sources. And he undertook this kind of study where some of the water was sung to, and it was offered prayer, and it was offered positive intention, sometimes not spoken out loud, sometimes just kind of from the energetic field, from the mind, projected. Buddhist mantras, all of that kind of thing. And I'm not sure if you have the availability to include images somewhere along the lines, or we can put it in the show notes maybe, but there are some incredible, beautiful, crystalline, cymatic forms that come from that like perfection, real, true, crystalline perfection, sacred geometry.
Right.
So then the opposite of that was Dr. Emoto, and his work has been continued by an amazing woman called Veda Austin, who
Yes, she's actually been on the show. I was just about to say to you, have you heard of Veda Austin?
Yes, and I love her work. So maybe we can also include the link to her podcast episode, because she's fab. So there'll be more in that, and she's the real expert on this subject. But the opposite of the cymatics, the beautiful crystalline sacred geometry, was when the music was like infused with hatred or rage or like bad intention, and the sort of crystal. So they would freeze the water and then take an image of the crystalline forms, and the images were completely like fractured. So there was no cohesion, no sense of sympathetic resonance, no sense of flow or ease or reflection of the greater universe within that. So it's really interesting to kind of see that reflected in crystal and clear quartz, to know that if this can just be done with intention. You don't have to be a trained musician, a singer, or even a sound healer. If you have got a clear quartz at home, it can amplify and bring coherence to an intention that you have, which is why it's so powerful. There are other reasons why it's powerful too. Maybe we'll get into that later, but just it carries that pure intention to bring forth what we now recognize as sacred geometry, the spiral of phi, the golden ratio that is represented within like pure, beautiful intention and pure frequency. And and then the opposite would be the kind of fracturing. And just to kind of reflect that in the macro, so I was talking a little bit there about the micro and the kind of precision of sound and of frequency healing. But if we zoom out to the macro, so the larger image of the world, we are surrounded all of the time by sound. And none of that is specifically bad. And I think that stuff like EMF, very, very high frequencies, there is some research there to suggest that very high frequencies can cause discomfort, maybe even a feeling of unease, anxiety. The same with very low infrasound, that there's some research that suggests that in itself might cause a feeling of unease. But we're surrounded by sound all the time. We can't take ourselves out of that. And so just understanding the purity of the intention that we carry, the prayer that we carry, essentially the music that we carry within ourselves, we can create a field of coherence within ourselves that is then reflected outwardly through this sympathetic resonance, that can help us to experience the world with more ease, with more beauty, with more of that sense of magic when we are kind of inundated by what my beautiful friend Sean, who I work with a lot, calls the cosmic drone. That we're inundated with sound all the time. We're not going to be able to take ourselves out of that. Even if you're in the middle of the Sahara Desert, then you're receiving infrasound and ultrasound all of the time, because the human ear can only pick up on 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. So we're only hearing a certain amount, but we're receiving and feeling through, obviously, the crystal structures of our cells and our bones. Sound moves, I think it's 10 times or 15 times. I'll specify that, I'll check, but it's a lot more quicker through crystal than it does, and through bone than it does even through water. So it moves really fast through water, but even quicker through bone. So
I love that so much. There's so much richness in your exploration again, like about clear quartz and that I'd forgotten about Emoto using sound, actually, interestingly. because of course, like my background and my lineage being homeopathy, like there's a great deal of proof, if you like, in his studies and Veda's work as well, for how remedies can help us. And it is, we talked about this just before we press record, like it is based on, funnily enough, like yours like, is the principle of homeopathy. So there's so much resonance just between the two, the sound and that kind of sympathetic resonance that you talked about. There's so much in that, in terms of like how I see the world as well, that makes a lot of sense. But I love how you've brought alive how sound helps us heal, in essence, because what you're sharing is like we can intentionally work with these frequencies and the resonance of these frequencies to create healing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It really does. There's layers to it, and having an understanding of the discipline of sound is an important quality. But the overarching kind of foundation for sound healing as a modality is the purity of your intention and the clarity. So that again relates back to like quartz and how quartz can, clear quartz especially, that like precision, that clarity, it can amplify and exude our intention and our prayer. That is really the foundations of sound healing. It is the clarity of your intention. The course that I've written, Frequency of Light, is really a combination of some of the discipline of sound healing, which is quite important to understand, but more so self-mastery and learning how we can essentially become the crystal instrument. So then the crystal bowls that you use are an extension of you and your intention and your prayer and the song of your soul, as we all carry our own music, right? And it's the same sound that brought you forth. You are the dream, that your soul had a dream, and that's you. That song that you carry through your whole life, that's the most important thing. And to clarify that is an incredible...
I love that. There's something in that, because I see people have their own unique remedy, and what I'm hearing in that is almost like people have their own song as well. And there's just something so beautiful about the way that you articulated that, about we all have our own song. That feels really gorgeous. And I think many secret witches will be like, "Ooh, what's my song? I want to know."
There's this incredible tribe. I can't remember the name of the tribe off the top of my head. They are a tribe that live in Africa. And they have this incredible practice. I think that there are a few indigenous groups that mirror this practice. It's so beautiful and it's almost heart-wrenchingly beautiful. But before a woman receives the soul that she is going to bring forth, a new child into the tribe, then she essentially goes on what would potentially be called a type of vision quest.
Yeah.
On her own, she goes out into the wild places, communes with the stars, communes with the earth, the moon, these like cosmic powers, and she opens up her channel to receive a song from the universal source. And she stays out in the world until she's received this song.
Wow.
And then during the conception process, she repeats this song. And then while the baby is growing in utero, she sings the song. While the baby is being born, the whole tribe gather around and sing the song of this child. And then through the child's life, it is continuously sung, this song. And what I thought was most beautiful is that if the child does something like that is considered like bad or wrong, then they are gathered around by the tribe and they are just sung their song instead of being punished, in order to remind them of who they are, right? And so it's this incredibly beautiful idea that we are not separate from this great symphony of the cosmos, and that we do have our own music that is personal and unique to us. And then, of course, when the child then dies or passes on, then the song is sung through that process as well. So it accompanies them through their whole life. It's incredibly beautiful.
That is really beautiful. I have heard of that before, but thank you for reminding me, because I got goosebumps as you were talking about that. And again, like we're coming back to Clear Quartz's medicine of like we've got a brilliance, a genius, a gift, within each of us, like a unique gift. And I think, again, Clear Quartz can help us to really discover what that is. There's something you said around, and which kind of is a whole theme that you've been talking about, actually, which is very much, again, a theme we've been exploring with Clear Quartz, is, and you, I think you named it in your bio as like your work being a bridge to the star wisdom held within our bodies. And what that speaks to me of, and I don't know if this is what you were speaking to, but there's this, and one of the themes I've been exploring with women in the apothecary is this idea of like Clear Quartz being exactly what you said, like of the body, in that she's literally a mineral, but also of the cosmos, of the universe. I'm wondering if you can speak to that a little bit, because I think what we can be tempted, I think, especially with the theme that I see come up for Secret Witches, is, and it was very much my own pattern as well, is like when I first kind of came into this path, and I was like very much into healing the body and like, you know, homeopathy and all the things body. And then I kind of went off on this, what I now call like an ascension path, and kind of just, it's like, oh yeah, no, this is magical. Like now there's this greater intelligence. And then I forgot about the body, and I was like, no, we'll leave that over. Like, this is more important. Our thoughts don't matter. Like, I'm just going to ascend to spirit. And then I gave birth and came back to my body with a bump. And so I think Clear Quartz helps us kind of explore the two of those things. And really, when I say the two things, they're both really one, because it's all like created by the natural intelligence of life. But I'm just wondering if that brings anything alive for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. And I feel a lot of our journeys through the spiritual explorations have mirrored what you were just sharing about ascending. And of course, that is the direction that we're really encouraged to go through. Even, you know, traditional religion is all up and out. It's like up towards whatever's up there, however you see that. And this kind of interlacing of the feminine aspect, or what you perhaps would then refer to as the earthen realms, the down and in, is often ignored, forgotten and disremembered. But we absolutely need both. And it's a beautiful reminder to look up to the star lineages. And there's a myth around the Lemurian quartz crystals, which are beautiful, beautiful clear quartz crystals that come out of the mines in Brazil. They're very special. They have like almost like barcode lines in them that the myth is that the Lemurian civilization encoded these crystals with their wisdom before they were wiped out. And so you can kind of connect to that star lineage. The Lemurians were an ancient civilization on Earth, but they had their lineage from the stars, from the star kingdoms. So you can connect using quartz to like greater wisdom. And of course, like clear quartz is so bright and beautiful and reflective of light. It's so encoded with light, and that idea of like the stars and what they can teach us. But they are grown in the womb of the earth. So they have this quality like the Hermetic, as above, so below, the reflection of the stars on earth. And I really believe I've gone through that journey too, of like, wow, like everything's so pristine and beautiful, like up there. And then, you know, coming back down through the feminine lineage and back down and into the body and into the felt sense, down to the earth, that we're so multidimensional as a humanity. We have our ancestry of both star and earth. Like our bodies are made of stardust, but they are also made of the bones of our ancestors and the fallen leaves and the trees and the plants. And we're an intermingling and intermeshing of above and below, within and without. And I totally believe that quartz crystal can reflect that to us, that we can receive the wisdom and the light of the stars, the star lineages, but that we are essentially here in this life as a human being to experience this life here and now, and to not try and escape it, to go up and out and, you know, out to the stars, which is really beautiful and fun. But we're here to be in, we're here to feel, we're here to have emotions, we're here to connect with one another and to find our way back to love through that human experience, and to not bypass, you know, any of the difficult human stuff before we then go back to the stars.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I know that will really resonate with the Secret Witch, because there is that, again, like for the Secret Witch, it's quite hard being a human in a body, because we're so sensitive to these things. And so you say, I love what you've just shared. You speak to the body, I think you do anyway. The body is an instrument. I thought I read that somewhere in your information. And I'm wondering, like, because you've spoken about us having our own song, like, how do we begin to listen to the sound of our own bodies?
Yeah. One of my beloved meditation teachers, incredible woman called Sophie Neville, who runs a festival in Kent called Heart of the Rose, which is very much about feminine wisdom and reclaiming the feminine lineage. She talks about the body as a map of the unconscious mind, and that the more we can start to listen and be embodied and understand, and to not bypass our humanness, to not bypass the pain body, in seeking to a kind of a continuation, I guess, of what we were just talking about. But this idea of bringing our awareness down and in. When we think about our soul song, think the mind, then we're really thinking about like the cosmic and the beautiful stars and like all of this amazing magic, right? But the magic is here, it's now, it's in the body, it's in this moment. And my go-to practice that on the course that I run, I have all of my students sit with every single day. I think it's the most important thing that anyone can do in order to clarify their own coherence and to start to unlock deeper layers of perception and really get to know the soul, the body, as one holistic entity, is meditation in stillness. Your relationship with stillness and with silence is, and I'm saying this but I'm really talking to myself here, because it's like an ongoing process for me and for many people listening, right? So I haven't perfected this by any means, but I believe it's the most important thing, is to have an intimate relationship with stillness and with silence. Because if we are constantly filling our space, our bodies, our minds, our fields with stuff, with noise, with, it's a real human thing, because stillness and silence is really quite scary to sit with initially. For some people, it might be really easy. And like, I'm jealous of you if that's the case. I think many of us experience the same kind of like, oh, wow, like stillness is scary. There's nothing to hold on to, right? So I think building that gentle relationship and not just going straight into I've learned a lot of meditation practices, and I think a lot of them can be quite brutal in the way that they approach, like, it's essentially like going cold turkey from contemporary life, going from screens and noise and people around you and lots of sound and lots of, life going on, to nothing, staring at a wall or looking at the inside of your eyes. And like, that can be really painful and can really put you in the pain body and take you out of that deep relationship with yourself. And so if people are like me, and you find stillness and slowing down and silence hard, my advice would be to start slow and small, and to maybe just weave in 2 minutes of your day of really gentle stillness, and to perhaps just light a candle. It might just be sitting with a cup of tea in the morning before kids wake up or after they've gone to school. 2 minutes might then grow into 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be a particular number every day. Like 20 minutes a day is great. And there's lots of studies proving that 20 minutes a day can be really helpful in many ways. But I think when we give ourselves those hard and fast things to have to hit, if we don't hit them, then we can take ourselves out. And you'd be very self-punishing, self-critical. I failed and I'm not going to do it again, or I can't meditate, and all of that stuff. So start small, an achievable number, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and perhaps that will evolve over time. But just having that ability to sit in stillness will start to uncover layers, and we are able then to pour our awareness through the body to unlock this map that we essentially are. The body is such a map of the unconscious mind and all of these thought processes that we just have going on in the background. 90% of the mind is unconscious. Only 10% is conscious. So all of that stuff that's going on, somewhere back there. And the body is really a reflection of that. When we're still and we can slow down, we can start to notice that, and we can start to heal that. We can start to be with it and give it love. And then perceiving through deeper layers, we can uncover the music that is within us. And the ancient yogis called that nada yoga, or anahata nada. Anahata is the name for the heart chakra. It actually means unstruck. And then nada means sound. So unstruck sound is the kind of eternal sound, the sound that is not struck, the sound that is always there in the background. So that is the anahata nada. And then beneath that, there's another layer, which is nada brahman, or the sound of everything, the sound of the universe, which to the ancient yogis was that Om, the mantra Om.
Queen. I love that so much. And what occurs to me as you're saying that is like just this sense of like, without us being quiet and without us kind of, almost like coming away from the noise, like we can't hear that unique sound. It's like it's just crowded with all the other sounds, all the other noise. So I absolutely love that. And I also love how you brought that back to like the uniqueness that's within our body, and then also being part of that greater universal sound as well, which is really beautiful. I love this conversation. I feel like I could talk to you for hours.
I'm quite nerdy about sound.
Yeah, no, I love it. You're as nerdy about sound as I am about remedies.
We love a nerd. I love a nerd. It's so fun.
Again, Clear Quartz is a bit of a nerd. She's like, I'm very logical. I love all the logical stuff, but I'm also very spiritual, and I'm brilliant in that way. So it feels like
love that.
Feels like the perfect, the perfect embodiment of it. Gorgeous. Let me just fit into where I want to go now, because there's just so many threads, and I'm conscious we're kind of coming up towards time. I guess what could be helpful, and this is a random question, but like, I guess people have some misconceptions, and this might not be that random a question actually, because I think probably a lot of secret witches listening, because Clear Quartz, especially Clear Quartz secret witches who will resonate with this episode, like because Clear Quartz has this very logical part of her, she can often kind of be like, well, I can't trust magic, I can't trust spirituality. So I'm wondering, do you come up against any kind of misconceptions that people have about sound healing? And how do you kind of work with and handle those if you receive them?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely do come up against that a lot. I think that although sound healing is kind of like the yoga of the 90s, like it is coming through that popularity at the moment where it's really growing in popular awareness. And I think more people than not have probably experience some kind of sound healing now, whether that's through ASMR or frequency healing, online, binaural beats. But I think not trying to convince people, but I think a really nice way to speak to people who might not necessarily resonate with the mystical element of sound healing and the spiritual element of sound healing is there is just so much science behind sound. I mean, we are beings that are made of sound. At subatomic levels, we are just our cells and the atoms that create what we perceive as physical matter is not physical matter. It's light and sound waves constantly moving all the time. So we're shapeshifters as well. We are constantly moving, changing. Every part of us is alive in that way. So as beings that are made of sound, then I think we all have a way into resonating with sound and with music. I always think whenever I speak about this, I'm always reminded of this piece of wisdom that I was offered by an Indigenous leader. And this person shared with me that in their culture, if there is any illness, if someone comes to the shaman with an illness, and they're asked 3 questions: when did you stop singing? When did you stop dancing? And when did you stop telling stories? So, and all of those, of course, incorporate sound, movement, frequency, all of this, like what we now understand through quantum science as vibration in a more animist way of looking at the world. And it's just this incredible reminder that we are not separate. I think sometimes, especially in our current culture of like, it's very mental, very mind, very masculine in that way, that we're cut off often from understanding that we are not separate from nature. We're not separate from the music of the world around us, from this great cosmic symphony, that we are born from the earth, from her body, and from the dust of the stars. We experience this like whirlwind of a human life, and we have all these emotions, and all of this stuff, you know, goes on, and we have these connections and these life experiences. And then we return to the earth, and we give our bodies back to the earth and the stardust. And yeah, I just think there's so much science that I could reel off about sound healing, and there is a lot of incredible relevance to that. I won't get really deeply into it now because I will just go on for hours, but for anyone who's listening who's like, I want to know, then looking up binaural beats and the benefit that binaural beats can have on everything from neurodivergence, ADHD and autism, to supporting Alzheimer's and dementia, to what is now cancer care as well, frequency healing, cancer care and ultrasound. There's so much to uncover about sound healing and science. It's there. But I would just invite that remembering to anyone who's a little unsure that we really are not separate from nature, and therefore we're not separate from the symphony of sound. We're not separate from the music that is all around us. We are a really imperative part of it. And to remember that is to remember our inherent belonging to the earth and our inherent belonging to the stars and our place within that beautiful cosmic symphony, and our own little kind of contribution to that, our own little note in the scale, the cosmic octave. So yeah, I kind of went off on a bit of a tangent there, but I didn't want to get really deeply into the science because I will go on and on forever.
I mean, I would listen.
Got some little tidbits there for anyone who's like, please, like, I want to know, then yeah, go off and have a little read up about it.
Absolutely love that. And I know there's one particular secret witch who's in the apothecary who's going to absolutely love this. I might have to share it as a sneak peek in the apothecary for her, just specifically. So yeah, thank you so much for that. That's really gorgeous. Because I know a lot of secret witches would also kind of feel that fear if they are here to even work in this way. Like I know there will be that fear of like, well, how what will people think of me? And so that's really healing for that part of them in particular. I guess before we complete, is there anything else that you kind of wanted or felt called to share on, or if there's like one thing that you wouldn't want the secret witch listening to know, like what would that be?
I think the one piece that is standing out to me is as a reminder, as a piece of knowledge or wisdom to come back to, is that our intention is so much more powerful than we even have the understanding of. We really don't understand how powerful our intention is. That intention that you carry with you is your prayer. That is your soul song. That is the way that you shape the world around you. That is the way that the universe responds via sympathetic resonance to you as you move through your life. And so if nothing else, and if sound healing or frequency healing and doesn't necessarily appeal as a practice, know that you are a sound healer by nature just by carrying the clarity of that intention in your heart, and that you can totally change the world around you through the reflection of that intention.
That's so gorgeous. I'm really glad that you mentioned that intention piece actually as well, because again, another facet of Clear Quartz, as I channeling her at the moment is about how she helps us to illuminate our vision.
Yeah.
And that intention that is, so I absolutely love what you've shared there as well. That's really beautiful. Yeah, that's so gorgeous. I love that. Is there anything else that you want to explore before we complete?
Oh, it's been so beautiful. I feel pretty complete. I can talk for hours. So if anyone is listening, it's like, I want to know more, then feel free to come and find me and ask any questions. I'm really an open book. I'm very happy to connect. And really, really grateful for your time and for this conversation.
Likewise. And I was just, that leaves me with the final invitation, of course, which is where can people find you and what are you working on?
So people can find me on my website, which is mollyannchinner.com. And then it's the same on Instagram, Molly Ann Music actually on Instagram. Sorry, Molly Ann Music on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, all under the same name. I have lots of long sound healing pieces that you can experience yourself on YouTube, on Spotify, on various platforms. You can tune into them, all using crystal singing bowls, the voice, etc. And then there's a couple of things that if you're drawn to this as a practice, then I do have a 200-hour training course called Frequency of Light that you can explore, and that will be guiding you through the process that has come through me. So it's a channeled process that is kind of a culmination of all of my work so far. And the last thing is that I also have a beautiful shop called the Tone Temple, where you can come and experience crystal sound healing yourself, or you can come and explore whether there is a soul connection for you to, find a bowl that supports your soul song in this lifetime. And that is in Bourne End in Hertfordshire. So I'd love to also invite anyone who's interested to come and find me there.
Me, I'm going to come. I love that. No, thank you so much. We'll include all of the information you've shared in the show notes so that people can find you. But thank you so much. I absolutely love this episode. Like, it's just the most beautiful, pure, which is of course Clear Quartz medicine, expression of Clear Quartz through your own unique expression of her, and it just brings her alive in such a brilliant way. So I'm really glad that we've done this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been wonderful and so beautiful. Thank you so much.
No, you're so welcome.
Molly really did so beautifully embody Clear Quartz medicine in this episode. Here are my takeaways. We are made of light and sound. At subatomic levels, the body is a field of vibration, constantly moving, shifting and singing. Clear Quartz holds a crystalline matrix that reflects the entire cosmic pattern, a fractal of the universe encoded in mineral form. Our bones carry silica, which creates sympathetic resonance with crystal bowls, allowing our bodies to recognise and embody their sound. Pure intention creates coherence, demonstrated through the cymatic work of Dr. Emoto and Veda Austin, where sound and prayer shape crystalline structure. Stillness and silence are essential for hearing the unstruck sound of the heart, the deeper, eternal music beneath the mind. Each of us carries a unique soul song, a personal note in the great cosmic symphony that guides our belonging, coherence and healing.